I don't have a clicker, so apologies for having to look all the way over here. And they're going to try to fix this. This happened earlier to another presenter. So if you have epilepsy, I apologize profusely. It's not my fault. If you want the slides for this talk and you don't want to look at the screen, or you can look at your own screen, the tiny URL up there takes you to where you're looking. Man, that bugs me, and I'm not even looking at it. Sorry, everybody. All right, we'll just get going then. All right, so if you came in here to learn about secrets, security, this is it. This is the whole thing. Don't let your secrets leak, and that's it. That's the entire talk. They gave me an hour to tell you that. And if you could just promise, and if you could, thank you. If you could honestly just promise me you could make that happen, then honestly that would be it. But things don't work like that in real life. Here's a story. Toyota once accidentally pushed part of the T-Connect repo into a public repo. A subcontractor did this, but we don't know exactly why. But a security researcher eventually finds this key and said, hey, this works. And this got pushed in 2017. And he told them that in 2022. So 296,000 customers data affected. Maybe you saw this one on the news. If anybody went to the talk this morning on MFA and whatnot, they covered this story as well. Oh, maybe stabilizing? Maybe? Oh, maybe? Oh, maybe not. All right. But basically, attackers got in, stole some HAR files. HAR files are HTTP archive files. Those contained hard-coded credentials. And then they realized, hey, some of these belong to Cloudflare. Now, to Cloudflare and Okta's credit, they came forward with this pretty quick. There was an announcement. They said, hey, we're doing the right thing. And Cloudflare honestly thought they did the right thing, but they didn't catch everything, and all it took was, well, one of those keys worked, and then once you're inside, well, we find more hard-coded credentials, and we move around all over the place, and 5,000 key rotated later, and every system restarted. That wasn't a good day. So it didn't technically destroy Cloudflare. In fact, I don't think it did any reputational damage to them, because again, they did the right thing, but still, things got stolen. These are a little, I don't have fancy slides for these. These are stories that happened. If you get the show notes, the speaker notes in the slides, they take you to the links for all this. But yeah, the common thing between these two, I'm not going to go through them in depth, was, hey, we stole credentials, we got in and did stuff we weren't supposed to do. That's the trend. If I'm an attacker, I don't really need to be that fancy to use a key and get in and do stuff. And that's the heart of what this talk is really about. Because that's the dumpster fire we're living with. We are doing our best to patch. We're doing our best to train people. We're doing our best to make the world secure. And just then we're leaving keys out everywhere, and that sucks. And then we're fighting tech, and then we're writing reports, and then we're staying up all night and doing horrible things. What we want to do is this. We want to play Monopoly with our families. I love Monopoly. I love games. I love Monopoly. I would much rather be doing that than almost anything I do in the rest of my life. And anything I can do to make my job easier, to make the work job just work, so I can get back to doing what I want to do, I'm going to do. But more importantly, with this picture, not about Monopoly, it's people. If we're not seeing this as the actual desired goal of tech, like what we're doing in security, then we're missing the whole point. If you're in security to win CTFs, good for you. If you're in security to learn how to improve your skills in CTF to make the blue team better, to help people get back to this, then you're doing it right. I'll fight anybody on that. I'm Dwayne. I came from Chicago to give this talk. I help people figure stuff out. That's my entire goal in life. That's my purpose. That's what I do. Hopefully I'll help you figure some stuff out today. Maybe not, I don't know. I host a security repo podcast. It's called the Security Repo Podcast. We have amazing guests, everyone from Jason Haddix to Jason East Street to Tanya Janka to, wow, about 60, 80 other people. Everything you would want to hear about security. It's a broad world. Go check it out. I am mostly on LinkedIn these days, but I also love Blue Sky. That's why I put my Blue Sky down in the bottom. It's a pretty good platform. Speaking of Blue Sky, I don't know if y'all like karaoke. I love karaoke. And some of us are going to go over to Palmer's East tonight and take that over. They start about 8:30 karaoke there, so 8:39ish. If you want to join us for karaoke, come on out. That's it. All right, that's the plug. Now it's going to be on the permanent record forever, and everyone will get a plug for a place here in Redmond. All right, obviously I love music, karaoke. That was Kim Gordon I was playing in my intro. I work for these people, GitGuardian. We do non-human identity security these days. I would love to tell you about that, but that's not why I'm here to tell you a pitch to my machine, or to our company. I'm here to talk about what attackers really want and how we can do this better to let them not get these things. They want our machine resources. Anybody? Why do they want our machine resources? Anybody? The mine, yes, the Bitcoin mine, but also to sell it for pennies on the dollar on the black market. How much does an Azure instance go for per hour on the dark web? Depends on how good of a price you get, $0.25, $1 an hour, until you get caught and thrown off the network. And why do they want your data? Starts with an R, ends with an ransomware. Yeah, ransomware, that's it. Getting into it. That's it. Like ransomware to sell it back to you, to sell it to the highest bidder, to prevent the company from actually using it, and that's the actual harm of ransomware when you get down to it. You stopped the company from benefiting off your data. That's what they'll pay for. Oh, it got leaked? Oh, I'm sorry. That's what we get in the news. When I say secret and credential and key and certificate and database connection string, in my brain I've been doing this stuff for long enough that it's all the exact same word, so I apologize, because there are subtle differences between an encryption key and an API key. Semantically, I'm not going to be pedantic about this today. I'm going to say secret and credential as if they were the same word. Just going to get that out there for everybody. Related to all of this secrets, like why is this a problem? Because we keep making secrets really fast. When we think of passwords, we immediately think IAM, we think human beings. Human beings only have so many passwords. We have a lot of them, but for every single human ID that has to authenticate to something, in 2022, CyberArk said it was 45 to 1 on average in their research of over 1,000 companies. That's what that looks like. I don't know about you, but I think the world's sped up since 2022. And now the estimate is somewhere around 100, depending on the sources you read. A bunch of people doing studies on this. But we live in the world of agentic AI, and it's going to get crazy real quick. As soon as we enable those agents to deploy their own agents, which is happening already, I don't know how many things are on this screen, and that's the point. We don't know. We don't know what's about to explode. And if we keep doing the same thing we've been doing with long-lived credentials, when this happens, because this has already happened and we already know the terribleness of this, I don't know how we fix it. So we got to fix this yesterday. So what do we do? What do we honestly do? Well, there's 3 big buckets I think we could talk about for fixing this. The first one is just eliminate credentials. This is possible. It's not easy. There's a lot of determination to do it, but it is possible. IAM rules, I'll talk about Spiffy later, but we need something just to get rid of these long-lived credentials. If humans are involved, we can MFA. We can passkey. Let's do that, please. If you haven't started implementing FIDO and passkey, oh, everybody's going to love it, because I hate MFA. I hate it. I hate it. I hate Authenticator. I have like 100 things on my Authenticator, so I have to scroll down and scroll down. It's like, oh, it's that one. Versus I just use my friggin' thumb, and wow, that unlocked a ridiculously long SSH key, essentially, that gets me into anything. I have to log into LinkedIn with that. Like, it's great. I think people will dig that. But the last one is we got to rotate credentials. Now, for humans, that's a problem. Humans hate rotating credentials. Machines don't really care. So that's the fork in the road right now. Let's solve this problem of secret leaks for humans and for machines. For humans, I think the first 2 make the most sense. Let's go to roles. Let's go to passkeys when we absolutely need to prove something you have and something you are. I don't even know if something you know. Maybe I do, but that's going to get leaked. But something you are, that's hard to leak. Something you have, I can clone you, but then I don't have what you are. Machines? Oh, I can make new MAC addresses all day. I can do all sorts of fun stuff. I can copy and all sorts of fun stuff. And then this happens a lot. And this isn't a human being's access. This is a machine's access to another thing. If for those of you who can't see the screen, sorry with technology, that is a hard-coded credential on line 10. That is the database key. This is a problem. And it's a growing problem that This specifically is the problem I'm talking about. It's a growing problem because these things keep ending up on GitHub in public. I'm not picking on GitHub. I'm saying GitHub kind of won that's where all the code ends up. I'm not saying it's malicious, I'm just saying that's what happens. So my company puts out a report every year, the state of secret sprawl. Now, if you look this up, do not answer, but I need 5 people to raise their hands because there's a prize involved. Just raise your hand because we're going to play a guessing game. All right, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're just the first 5 people. So everybody else that I didn't just point to, put your hands down. How many secrets do you think we found added to GitHub in just the year 2024? So we looked on GitHub, we looked at all the commits that happened in 2024, and we said, hey, there's a secret in here or not. How many secrets do you think were added to GitHub in 2024? 7,800. 24,000. 100,000. 15,000. Who's that? You got 100,000? You're the closest without going over because it's 23.7 million. Yeah, that's that's an octopus I made. And that's why I do the giveaway, because it's a fun laugh, right? That's horrifying. That's not cumulative. That is 4.6% of all repos in public contain a secret. Internal numbers, it's 38%, and those are our customers. We're trying to help them eliminate this problem. What does this actually look like? 15% of all authors on GitHub Public did this. So this isn't just juniors. This isn't just somebody new that doesn't know what they're doing. This isn't just students. The students do it a lot, not gonna lie. We send out emails every time this happens to the committer, and some people are really angry about that for some reason, and some people are like, oh, thank you, you saved my job. We're trying to be the white hats here. That's literally why we do this. And we have products related to it, but that's how we stay in business. Fun fact, we went back to the fingerprinted ones we did in 2022 that were valid, because we try to validate them if we can, non-intrusive calls to see, does this work? Does this return anything other than a 404? And in 2022, we found millions of them, but we tested 11,000 that we found to be valid, and 70% still worked in January, after we sent an email in 2022. That means the rotation policy doesn't exist. There's no governance policy in place around that. That's terrifying. Now, what does that go to? What are those things? Well, you could have your own research on that. So we asked a bunch of practitioners, like, hey, give us your thoughts on this. Like, how good is your company with secret security? And we partnered with CyberArk. Over 1,000 IT decision makers, director level or higher, were asked and gave responses anyway. And we said, hey, how strong confidence are you? And they said 75% said, oh, we have a strong confidence. And so, well, how long does it take you to rotate a secret once you know it's leaked? I'm like, oh, on average, the average came out to 27 days. We know for a fact that there's over 11,000 from 2022 that are still valid, at least. 27 days is a gross underestimate. This last one is like very interesting. 6 distinct secret managers. We'll come back to that one. That's just kind of put that in the back of your head. Oh yeah, and 44%, only 44%. The 75% said strong confidence, but the same people, like 44% said, yeah, our developers know what they're doing. They're not going to do that. What? I don't get that gap. That's crazy. So what do we do to prepare for future leaks? I asked Google, and this is my all-time favorite Google Doc that's still in existence. That's the whole thing. I'll let you read it if you can. But basically, I copied the interesting part. You should immediately change them and redesign your app to avoid including them. Yeah. Thanks, Google. It's not wrong, but it's like saying the only secret you need to know to learn to fly is don't fall down. Yeah, it's actually true. Just defy gravity and you're going to be fine. This is what I think actually helps. And this is the solution, not just to this. If you take one picture of this talk or download one slide, this is the one I want you to walk away with. This is the one I want you to go back to your company and have this conversation. It's not a fun conversation, but it's one I know you can have. It's like, hey, look, there are tools out there that can help us do this, but I'm not here to sell you a tool. I am here to sell you the dream of we can change our culture, we can change processes. That starts with awareness. Awareness of what? How you use your processes to not put secrets in the wrong place. Well, where do you put them correctly? Well, that's what the tools come in. How do you get people to use tools? That's awareness around your processes. It's a virtuous cycle. The more we refine our processes, I have a deep-seated belief that processes are infinitely tunable. You can have a lot of bad processes, but you can fix those. If you have bad people in your org that won't cooperate with you and will not follow processes, that's a whole other issue I am not qualified to talk about. I can talk about tuning processes all day. Tuning tools, that's what we love talking about. We love talking about the tech. Let's skip over the people part and just talk about the tech. So many conversations start like that. We'll talk about the tools. I love tools. Because if we don't do that, if we don't get people on board, then all we're going to do is swap in a different secret for the one we cleaned up. Maybe not in that exact file, but next time that same developer goes and pushes something, again in a hurry, I'm a developer advocate. That's what my title is. And I love that title. It's like Tim Berners-Lee's a web developer. I'm advocating as hard as I can because developers have hard lives. Like they are doing amazing, magical stuff under pressure. People are yelling at them. Of course they didn't do it the safest way because that's the slow way. So who actually should fix this then? Who's gonna actually take responsibility for running that conversation, for getting up in front of people and like, hey, I think we're doing this wrong and we need to fix this? Who owns this? Is it the devs? Is it the ops? Is it DevOps? Is it the CISO? CISO's the one who gets fired. So ultimately, I think they have to do it. But the exec team, yeah, who went in front of Congress or almost went to jail when SolarWinds happened? It wasn't the CEO. Wasn't their HR department. It's true. For the camera, the audience member said he lied, and that's 100%. I think maybe it should be the IAM owner if that exists in your org. Might not. IANS, the research organization, last year said, actually a year ago, because it was at RSA last year, their study said that until you hit the 5 billion revenue mark, your company probably hasn't dealt with this person yet. They might be there. You might have someone in charge of IAM, but go to IT and it's like, who owns Active Directory? Your best hope is they say, oh, this person under this structure. And that is what you're going for, because then you have a clear goal of like, someone owns this thing and is responsible and has a throat to choke along the way. That report to the CISO, they report to a CIO. I don't care who they report to, but they own identity. How they're structured is going to depend on how your org is structured. For instance, GM and Ford came to different conclusions on how this is structured. They have this person, and one org it reports to the CISO, the other reports to the CTO. I don't remember which is which, so forgive me for that, but I've talked to both of those people. I think it's important to have that conversation, should this person exist? Because if you go to IT and like, who owns Active Directory? You're like, I don't know. That's the most common answer. It's terrifying. So that conversation of process and tools, I think we can break that down to getting everyone on the same friggin' submarine. And I know what you're thinking, what submarine? Don't worry, that's the next slide after this one. One of my favorite books, I'm an old sales guy. I spent the first 12 years of my career doing sales. And this is the most influential book I read in that period of my life. You can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar. You can only learn things by doing them. I can tell you all day how to fix this problem, but until you go actually try to fix this stuff, it's just noise. But inside this book, he gives us the Sandler selling submarine. And I've used this in so many sales processes over my life because it works. Not all the time, nothing that works all the time, but old submarines, not modern submarines, but I think up to the Nimitz class, they all were isolated by these compartments you could seal off. So if you get a hull breach in one place, you could just seal off that compartment and you're not going to sink, which is kind of important if you're a submarine. So the idea is, as you move front to back through the submarine, you need to seal off each of these things as you do them. I'm not going to go through the whole thing here because it's not really important. The idea is you go through this process, and once you're at the end of the process, you don't have to go back and repeat part of that process. Once you discuss budget, you discuss budget. Then you got to get a decision. All right, so our plan should be something like this. Let's find all the secrets we actually have. Better, easier said than done. Let's properly store those secrets somewhere. Let's adopt some better developer tooling. Continually scan for secrets, which I guess is just an extension of one. And then let's rotate those secrets at scale. that's what this looked like in a submarine. If we can do this successfully, we can get out of the hell of, hey, we leak secrets all the time, and that's how attackers got in. Yes, phishing is the #1 way that malware gets installed. If I'm an attacker, I am not going to hope an admin clicks a phish. I'm just going to start digging through data sources until I find a key that works, and then I'm going to keep walking through your systems. Uber, one of my favorite parts of the Uber story was after they got in, however they got in, there's a lot of theories where they even got the key in the first place. But once they got in, it was PowerShell scripts, chock full of credentials. That's what let them walk through everything. That's how they taunted HackerOne from within their own interface. First, we got to find all the secrets. Where are those secrets? Are they in PowerShell scripts? Are they in other places? Why is this the first one? Because, well, we can't protect them if we don't know they're there. This is the first step in any threat model. This is the first step in any good security process is know what you have. Know what you're protecting. I love OWASP. Shout out to them. So how do you do that? Hopefully the people that put those secrets out there in the world, that created those NHI, those non-human identities that have the secrets, we're keeping track somewhere, right? And hopefully they did that securely, right? Right? Hopefully. And hopefully they didn't, like, I don't know, put them everywhere. How many people have ever put a database connection string directly into a Jira ticket? Yeah, you can be honest. That's fine. We're all friends here, and you can't see it on camera. Yeah, that seemed like a good idea when you're debugging and you're in a hurry, right? And like, oh, I'm about to pass out, and I need someone else to take up this ticket. All right, last thing, here's the connection string you need to make this work. Again, developers have hard lives. They're doing amazing work under pressure. And sometimes these things happen. A lot. This is where tools kick in. I obviously have a favorite on this list, I ain't gonna lie, but I am here to tell you, if you don't use tools today for secret scanning and try to find, like, through your logs, through your Jira, through your Slack, through your Teams, through your Confluence, through your code, through random text files that you can get to on the network, you need to. Again, I have a favorite on this list for obvious reasons, but you need to start somewhere. That's why I put grep on here. Git grep is awesome. Happy birthday, Git, by the way. We'll talk to them about that later. They just turned 20 last week. But that's the first part. Let's get the secrets in one place. Let's find out where they are. And all these tools will help you do that to some extent. Some with more work than others. And I'll stop about that part. So, okay, you found them. You know the scope of the issue. Now what do you do? Well, let's go back to our submarine. That's the next part. Now we've got to properly store all those secrets. Some of them might be properly stored. So it's important that these tools can also reconcile with the reporting out of your other tools where you're properly storing them. So when I say properly store, I mean use a secret manager. The next slide has all the logos on it, but this is a very highly accurate architecture diagram of how secret managers work in a network. This is the entire ability of this is my entire graphic design ability, so apologies about that. Oh, and it's got my old Twitter handle down here because I didn't update the slide. Great. Sorry about that. Don't go to Twitter, please. I don't use that one anymore. But Secret Manager sits in the middle of everything, and it does these things. It allows you to encrypt your secrets at rest and in transit. Maybe I'm using encrypt and transit wrong there, but in secured and transit over MTLS. Make this available all across environments. It needs to do that in order to work, right? It needs to have some way to centralize report of how the secret got in there, who's accessed it, where it goes, and then it needs to be easy enough for a developer to use, because if a developer won't use it, then there's no point in having it. Now, good news, if you're all in on one cloud, you already win. Good success. You should jump for joy. Not that anyone ever is single cloud anymore. Maybe if you work at Google you are, but these all have this built in. Key Vault, Secret Manager. Actually, AWS Secret Manager is extending out. They have secrets everywhere for the last couple years. It's a newer thing, but can go cross cloud now. And then you have your classic giant players. HashiCorp Vault, which used to be open source, now they're BSL'd, but it's still free to use. So I would start there. If you have never deployed a secret manager, great tutorials online. I love that company. I love what they do. Other than the BSL thing. CyberArk, straight up money. Keyless, Doppler, straight up money. But our commercial products, I'm not going to say one's better than the other. I'm going to reference CyberArk more than the others simply because I did. No other reason than that, and I like their docs. And, of course, this one from Vault. So how do you use these secret managers? Well, you put them and you get them. You put the secrets in and you get them out. That's it. You read the secret or you put the secret. So this is the actual string you would do to get a secret, and then the rest of this is just to parse it to show you that, yep, we got the expected password. That's literally copy-paste from HashiCorp's documentation. That seems pretty straightforward to me. Now, a developer might tell you otherwise because they're used to just throwing the secret directly in versus let's go log it properly or store it properly and then let's pull it back out properly. Remember earlier I said Google's not wrong about redesign your app to handle this? The best talk I saw all of last year, maybe ever, about this subject, how do you re-architect your app to do blue-green deployments of secrets in a non-downtime way, is literally this one from Kenton. Again, if you get the slides, which I'll put this link back up at the end, there's a link directly to this. Because you do have to account for that in your app, and your developers have to account for it. Now, when you attack this problem, I would go greenfield first. It's easier to learn on a greenfield project, and then go after your mission critical, because if you start with mission critical, you're playing the high stakes game that you get it right, versus this new system you just implemented. It's going to be a little bit lower stake unless you're deploying a new mission critical system. I don't know you. And then go after your legacies, and then find your zombies. Because when you do the first thing of, let's find all the secrets, I guarantee you, if you audit that, you're going to find API keys that go to something, and you'll be like, what on earth is this? When did we deploy this? I have never met a company that didn't have that, over a certain size, I should say. There's just zombies hanging out there. They're still up and running. They're still eating resources. Someone's paying for it. Speaking of paying for it, who's actually sponsoring this project? Again, this goes back to ownership. This goes back to that conversation of process. Is it you? Is security the ones like, hey, I'm only going to go to jail, so my budget goes to this to fix this for everyone? Or maybe this is one of the kind of things where, hey, you know what? This is so important that we need to pool some resources to make sure that all of us don't go down with this ship when we blow up. Maybe. I don't know. So how do we get the developer to use it? Because that was the third one. Third part of my submarine is better developer tooling. But how do we get them to do it? Because right now we know that the easy way is the insecure way, because they're just going to hard code a secret. We know that, again, because all the things I talked about earlier. So is there any governance around this, like getting them the right tooling? Sorry, actually, I just realized that's in the wrong talk. I was meant to go right here. Apologies. I haven't given this talk in a minute. The problem with most security tooling, actually, if you ask a developer all security tooling, is it makes you want to go slow. It's going to throw alerts up and warnings and block you. I have never met a developer who said, yes, I love Sneak. I know it gives me better secure code, and therefore I love it in my IDE. I have never met a single developer who said that. I've had developers who say, no, Sneak's okay. I have to use it, so yeah. Yeah, that's how they kind of see this world of security tools. What they want is tools that make them go faster. That's why they like IDE plugins. It helps them go faster and do things and scaffold. That's why machine assist or AI assist bots have become so friggin' popular. It's not just because someone's shoving AI down your throat. It's because it saves you the time to go look up that specific way to format that string or that call. And I never want to build a 21 switch statement again. So I'll just have it architect that for me, and I'll just fill in the gaps. But we can start this world of like, well, I want to go fast, but every time you go fast, we need to implement a new security tool to stop you from messing up with that fast tool. And we start getting into Zeno's paradox world of, hey, we're fighting, the tools are starting to fight, rather than we're fighting the same battle together. And that's where the superhero of any organization should come in. Security engineers are the real heroes of security. We can have a whole conversation about that tonight at karaoke. But these are the folks who are in the trenches, who have been developers or engineering leads, who know what it's like, who work with developers day in, day out, and like, how can we make your life more secure and help you do your job faster? I've met many of these in my career, and they're awesome people. They write unit tests for developers. They write tools for developers that help get out of the way and make their job easier. Because if the easy way is also the most secure way, developers are lazy. That's a virtue. I told you Git would come back up. There's this one magical framework, protocol, language. I don't even know what to call Git. It's not really a tool anymore. It's something else. It's something beyond that. But it turned 20 what's today? 16th, 18th, 11 days ago, it turned 20. That was the first mention of Git ever, was by Linus Torvald in an email on the Linux. Said, hey, here's a bunch of scripts I use for patches. Don't think it's ever going to become a full source control management system. 3 months later, they renamed the project Git officially. Junio gets put in charge, who's still in charge today. And 97.8% of all code in the world relies on Git to get it around, to version control it, to do a lot of cool stuff. So why Git? Why Git? Because again, it's already in the workflow. Getting a developer to adopt a new tool is like pulling teeth if they didn't want to choose it. Guess what? They're already on board with Git. They already love it or hate it, but they're already using it, guaranteed. Maybe they're not. They're like 3% of the world's not, but most likely they are. So why can't you go to them and say, look, you've been committing secrets. We know you've been committing secrets. We have your logs. How about you run this Git hook? And if you just run this Git hook, you can hard code your secrets all day, but what's going to happen is it's going to go see if that secret exists in a vault already. If it does, cool. It's just going to return the path to that, and then we're going to use sed or something to replace it in the line. And then all you got to do is say, hey, this works, and finish the commit. That's much, much better than like, hey, you need to learn how to use HashiCorp Vault. One of those conversations is going to go a lot smoother. Now, will a developer always do that? Absolutely not. Dev's going to dev. And that's why you got to do continual secret scanning. That's where you go back to, hey, the same tools you used to find all those secrets in the first place, you got to go back and do it again and again and again. It's got to be continual. It can't just be a one-time exercise, because we are launching new things faster every day, and we're helping our machines are helping us do it even faster. Again, agentic AI, chatbots, coding assistants are helping us do our jobs way faster, but not always more securely. But if we could do that at the Git hook level, then we could also do that at the PR level. We could also do that at the GitHub action level. Let's never forget, GitHub Actions is just fancy Git hooks thrown on a server somewhere. That's all it is, with different formatting. You can use YAML, or is it YAML? Yeah. It looks a little different, but that's all it is. So if we could do that same thing of like, hey, the PR is going to happen. Wait a minute, we found a secret. Let's go see if it's in the vault. It's not in the vault. Let's log it in the vault. What's the path it comes back with? Hey, let's change the code, update the PR. Here you go. This works now. Upon finish, let's go rotate the secret. But it's not just code, though. This is the problem, ultimately, this is why continual scanning is not just a PR fix. We got to raise awareness like, hey, stop putting credentials into config files. But if devs are already on board with, we're going to use this vault every time because it's safer and ultimately better and easier, and I stop getting bugs and I stop getting tickets I need to fix, then putting a string to call HashiCorp Vault or CyberArk or what have you into Jira, that's not really a problem, is it? Because I would still have to have access to get into that, and there's a whole other world of that. If you want to see a reference architecture for those crazy things I talked about of, hey, how do you check in the vault, see if it's there? We built this with CyberArk. It's just open source. We sell this as well, but again, I'm not here to sell it to you, but if you want to go study how it's built, build a middleware layer that does this. We call it Brimstone. They never did, but you can just go, the link to it is in the, again, the show notes. We're going to our last one, automatic rotation at scale. This is kind of the magic secret sauce. This talk is derivative of an earlier talk that is just about this circle right here, called long-lived, short-lived credentials, where I look at this a little more in depth than I've got time to today. But remember back on slide 21 and 22, but probably not because you don't know what slide numbers these are. But short-lived secrets rotate credentials much more often. Again, machines don't care. Machine doesn't care if the JWT lasted 0.4 seconds or it lasted a year. It's not going to complain it needed to update its policy or password rotation. It's just going to take whatever it's got and just run with it. So to automatically rotate a secret, you need to do something like this. Create the new secret somehow, test to see if it works, maybe, that's optional. Swap it in for the new secret, test to make sure nothing broke, and clean up, like in some internal labeling to say this was the old one, there's the new one, if you're keeping track and inventory. So where did that logic come from? Am I making this up? No, I literally borrowed this from AWS. Well, yeah, you're shaking your head. This is 100%. AWS already built all these scripts for you. Again, if you're already using AWS and you're all in on it, congratulations. You can just use what they built to do everything I'm talking about. Just do it. There's no reason not to. They have blog posts. They have awesome scripts. All of them do. If you're on like something weird I've never heard of, maybe they don't, but anyway. But if you're on-prem, mix, hybrid, what have you, now the question you have to ask is, can I rotate that secret for that service through an API call? Some systems is absolutely not. We still need a human to plug a USB key into something. And I would challenge you in the year 2025 to ask why you're using that system. Now, you might have a real reason. You might have an air-gapped system that controls nuclear codes. Please don't update the nuke codes with an API call. I would much prefer a human in the loop on that one myself. That's just me, though. Good news, though, is most systems today, modern systems, will allow you to do this. And good news is these enterprise security managers and these vault systems like CyberArk, like Hashi, like Doppler, already know how to do this and have the scripts ready for you of like, hey, you want to update a secret from Slack? We have a script for you on that. Just, okay, here's slap it in. And let the machine worry about it as fast as you want to go. And now you can rotate secrets every 30 seconds, every minute. There is network overhead on that. There is overhead of the middleware you need to run on that. And that's normally in the kind of conversation, when I have this conversation one-on-one with people, there's like, that just seems like a lot though, right? Well, yeah, there's another method to this. We just accept that secrets themselves are terrible and like we don't want long-lived credentials. And if we just think, hey, the goal is to eliminate long-lived credentials, then the rest of the problems kind of poof, go away. My argument's always, let's start with Spiffy and go out from there. There was a talk earlier today about Spiffy. Yeah, I got a thumbs up from a Spiffy fan. Spiffy, secure production identity framework for everyone. I didn't have enough time to explain Spiffy in all its grand, glorious detail. Spire is the reference implementation you can actually use in production to go implement this. But in a nutshell, when a process is born, when a Kubernetes worker is born, when a thing is born, created, you know how it's created, and you can hash against this trusted build step. These things are true, therefore we trust this thing is its thing. We're going to issue an API-driven, or through an API, we're going to issue a 509 cert, X509 cert, or a JOT that expires. Before the expiry, we can swap in a new one because it's API, or we can take that one, verify that you are you, the identity, and just keep swapping that in all day as fast as you want to go. We can namespace instead of having a secret that anyone ever knows or writes down. And it's secretless the same way that serverless is serverless. There is a secret somewhere, but just like your passkeys with your thumb, I have no idea what that string looks like. I have no idea how long that is. I hope it's 524 characters, but I don't know. I'll never know. I don't really care because it just works. From a developer standpoint, all I do is namespace stuff. Spiffy : the path. Now I'm good. We can even federate the certificate authority there, and they can just run in sidecars everywhere. There's a whole book about this. Again, I don't have time to get into it. It's one of the best tech books I've read in the last few years of my life. It's free, spiffy.io/book. Download a PDF. It's 198 pages. It's a great read. And if you're like, I don't want to read a book, there's one of the best talks I ever saw in my whole life last year. Cloud Native Security Con was from Matthias, who's one of the artists on the book, or authors of the book, And Tom, who I don't think was in the book, but he did help with research on it. Again, that's where you can go watch it. And they use AI-generated, not Disney characters. They specifically specified that it not be Disney, so guarantee nothing is copyrighted in there because they specifically asked the AI did not use Disney or copyrighted materials. So none of that's Disney. But that's my great hope. Like, we can get to a world of that, but we can't just jump there. On a greenfield project, you can. If you're going to start a new company tomorrow, maybe you can. But we have to start with what do we have on the ground now, and that's the process I talked about earlier. Because again, this is coming, and we might already be here. And the number of secrets that are spilled every year, leaked in public, isn't going down, and it's not going to go down until we do something about it. This is one plan. You can take this slide and this deck to the rest of your team, like, here's a plan I got. How do we do this? But more importantly, raising that awareness with them, like, hey, we need to do something. What processes do we have to try to get out of this hell? How do we train people about this? What tools can we put in place? I have my personal favorites, but you can do what you do. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to talk about tools. I don't want to talk about these processes. I want to be back to my family and doing what I want to do, hanging out, playing board games. Because that's the goal. That's the goal of security. I'm Dwayne. Come from Chicago. Check out the Security Repo podcast. It's pretty good. And hit me up on LinkedIn. And yeah, let's go sing some karaoke tonight. Thank you very much. So I have the room for next few minutes. So if you have questions, I think I can take like 1 or 2 questions. You have 10 minutes. I have 10 minutes to ask. Okay, we got 10 minutes for questions. I got one way over there. We could Phil Donahue this. Hold on. I'll do a Phil Donahue. Who was old enough to remember Phil Donahue doing this?
Help me. So the more precautionary statement, because not only are you dealing with your hard-coded creds, but there is a trail of creds behind that extend way beyond just the initial commit. You have differentials, things it is a living heck to get rid of those things. It just becomes like this monstrosity of spaghetti credentials just sprawling as far as the eye can see. So yeah, it's hard to nail down, especially if you have a large infrastructure. Then you're looking at this at scale. It's not just one code. It's not just one hard-coded cred. They're everywhere, and it's tough. You probably can't do it alone.
Thank you for that. Absolutely. Love the shirt, by the way. That's great. Any other questions? Okay, I'm back there. That's going to be hard to get you the mic all the way. If you could pass that back.
I can yell. I just want to understand, what is your recommendations or suggestions dealing with those legacy and zombie secrets? Because I know for the cloud secrets, those are the secrets which has the APIs, and then secret management can easily deal with that. But for those still used by human, and then where the API for rotation even not exist, what is the best practices to move forward to manage?
Take my back. Thank you. I just realized that's not going to pick up on my mic. So for legacy and zombie, what's the policy on that? Because those are probably not going to get put into this rotation policy, is what you're saying. Yeah. Zombies, kill them. Kill zombies. Shoot them in the head. That's a conversation of like, why is this on? Who's paying for this? And as soon as someone that realizes they're paying for it and it's not needed, that's how you kill zombies. Cut it off at the power source, which is the paycheck. For legacy, that is a hard question. I wish I had a better answer for. And that is where fast rotation is the best thing you're going to be able to do. Fast rotation might mean a year. It might mean 6 months. You might get it down to a day. Don't know. It's going to depend on the system. Like so much in security, it depends on what it's actually doing. Now, if human beings are interacting with these things, because you brought that up as well, now you have a question of governance. Like, why is a human being using the same API key as a machine? That's a much wider conversation than just, hey, how do we rotate this thing? It's like, why are we allowing a human to touch an API key in the first place? And that's going to lead to a whole unraveling a sweater of like, oh, yeah, that's just painful, isn't it? So unfortunately, that's the best answer I got. Any other? Oh, this guy.
Sorry for making you run.
I'm not running. I was jogging. All right.
As someone who looks at these pipeline scans and has found many secrets and gone to devs and said, hey, can you get these secrets out? One of the things that constantly gets thrown back for many issues, including secrets, is always the concept of sprints
Oh yeah.
and hitting release cycles
Yes.
and release targets. How do you deal with being the blocker for a product that isn't even yours when you're trying to help secure your organization?
For the mic, for those at home, when developers say, hey, but I got this sprint, I got this deadline, I can't deal with this right now. That goes back to ownership. Again, this is not a quick, easy, I wish there was a quick, easy answer on this. The best answer I've heard on that one is a bug is a bug is a bug. If you go to their manager and it's like, how do you pay this person? This is a power move, but I've heard this works. Go to their manager, like, what's the acceptable bug rate? And if a developer's like, I don't care, and is pushing 40% of their code as bugs, there's another developer who's already applied for their job. That's the reality. That's, again, devs' lives are hard, but honestly, don't be a jerk about this stuff. If they treat it, if they can willingly push bugs into production and their manager's okay with that, there's nothing you can do. But if they treat it like, whoa, you're saying that they have a 10% bug rate? Oh, we don't allow that. Now you have an ally, not about security, about bugs. Translated as bugs because that's what it is. A bug's a bug's a bug. All right, one more back there. Just for my running around sake, and this is gonna be the last one.
I just want to understand, what is your suggestion about what is the best practices or the frequency that we should rotate the secret?
Oh, I love this question. I love this question. What is the best frequency for rotation? The ultimate answer is just in time for the ephemeral life of the request. I'm not joking. That's what Spiffy can allow you to do. With tinfoil hat mode, you can say, I need to get this one call as a workload from this database. Here's your JOT for literally 30 seconds. Your JWT that lasts 30 seconds just to do the work. And then the next time that pod goes back to get more data, it's like, I have no idea who you are and I'm not giving you anything. That is the ultimate dream, that we get just-in-time ephemeral secrets that poof out of existence once they're used. Wow, that's really hard to get to, unless you're dedicated as a goal. So Spiffy, I didn't say that, but that didn't pop out of just open source brilliance. Google's been doing that since 2010. Talk to a Google engineer about their internal API keys, and they're gonna laugh at you, like, what do you mean? They don't use Spiffy, they use a precursor to it, but they namespace all the processes, and they have ephemeral just-in-time. You can do this at scale. If you can't do that, then you have the question of risk. What would happen if this was alive for 6 months and an attacker got it? What damage could they do? Are we willing to live with that risk? And if everyone that has the budget is willing to say, yeah, okay, we can just live with that for 6 months, or they say, you know what, if we can limit it to 2 days, I think we can do it in 48 hours. That's your answer. It's whatever your team's willing to put up with and the risk they're willing to eat. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's really all this is with security, is we're trading risks. There's no perfect, you're never gonna win security. That's the horrible truth that we live in. We can get better at it, but again, I just want to go back and play Monopoly. That's all I want to do. All right, well, thanks very much, everybody.